You don't truly know someone until you say nothing. Ever feel like the world is a stage and everyone's performing, smiling, complimenting, pretending? But behind the charm, there's calculation. Behind the praise, quiet suspicion. So how do you know who's being real and who's just wearing a mask? The answer isn't in what you say. It's in what you observe. Stoicism teaches this timeless truth. Silence is power. Observation is clarity. And the less you react, the more you begin to see what others are trying to hide. Today, we're learning how to read people without saying a word. Let's get started. 1. Tell me more, 3 words that unmask the soul. There's a communication skill so subtle, so powerful, that it requires almost no effort, just 3 simple words. Tell me more. Most people engage in conversation to argue, to prove a point, or to be heard. But the Stoic doesn't speak to dominate. He listens to understand. He creates space not with words, but with presence. And in that space, something remarkable happens. The other person drops their armor. One gentle tell me more can take someone from a debate about pizza toppings to a childhood memory they've never shared. It's not a trick, it's a mirror. And in that moment, they forget they're being observed because finally they feel seen. The Stoic knows that true power lies not in persuading others, but in allowing others to reveal themselves. When people feel safe, when they're not interrupted, judged, or challenged, they speak from the heart. And from that place, truth flows freely. Stoic insight: silence is not weakness, it's a weapon. Stillness disarms, calmness reveals. It is the silent observer who sees most clearly. So next time you find yourself in a conversation, resist the urge to interrupt or impress. Instead, lean in, listen deeply, and say those 3 magic words. Tell me more. You'll learn more about others in one quiet moment than in hours of noise. Because when you master the art of listening, you don't just understand others. You begin to understand the human soul. 2. Watch how they treat the powerless, the silent test of character. You can't truly judge a person's kindness by how they treat you. Why? Because if they need something from you, your approval, your influence, your connection, they'll act nice. They'll perform. But here's the Stoic truth. People rarely put on a mask for those they think don't matter. They don't bother performing for the waiter, the janitor, or the delivery driver because there's nothing to gain. And that's exactly when their real self slips through. If someone is polite to you but rude to the staff, dismissive to the cleaner, or condescending to someone beneath them, they're not good. They're strategic. That isn't kindness, it's image control. The Stoics teach us not to be blinded by words or appearances. Watch actions, especially when there's no social pressure to behave well, because true virtue needs no audience. Stoic test. Observe how someone treats those they deem unimportant. You'll see their true nature, not the one they show you, but the one they live with. This principle applies everywhere: friendships, dating, business. You want to know who someone really is? Don't just look at how they treat you. Watch how they treat the powerless, the unnoticed, the ones who can't offer anything in return. Because here's the ultimate Stoic insight. A good person is good when no one is watching. A virtuous soul doesn't discriminate based on status. Their respect is rooted not in your rank, but in your humanity. And that, more than anything they say, reveals who they are. 3. The past is the blueprint. Read their history to understand their heart. People say, the past is the past. But is it really? Not for the Stoic. A Stoic sees the present not as an isolated moment, but as a thread woven from everything that came before it. Because the truth is, no one acts without reason. No one is angry just because. No one fears love or success or intimacy without a cause. And that cause is almost always rooted in their past. If someone flinches at affection, they've likely been abandoned. If someone seeks constant validation, they were probably made to feel invisible once. If someone can't trust, it's because someone once shattered it. Their reactions today are echoes of yesterday's wounds. Stoic insight. To truly understand others, you must see beyond their behavior and trace it back to its source, their story. This isn't about excusing toxic behavior. It's about seeing the invisible architecture of a person's emotional world. It's realizing that behind every overreaction, every wall, every silence, is a scar. And here's the deeper truth. People repeat what they don't repair. Until they confront the past, they'll keep reliving it in every friendship, every relationship, every decision. It's not because they want to. It's because they don't yet see the pattern they're trapped in. When you view others through the lens of compassion, not judgment, you gain clarity. Not just about who they are, but how to navigate the relationship with strength and understanding. Because the past never disappears. It whispers through people's choices every day. And if you learn to listen for it, you'll see not just their flaws, but their humanity. 4. The voice never lies when tone betrays the truth. Words can deceive. Smiles can mislead. But the voice? The voice always tells the truth. It's subtle but unmistakable. A shift in pitch. A pause that lasts half a second too long. A sudden drop in energy, like the wind leaving the sails. That's when you know something's not right. You ask a simple question. They answer, but their tone dips, their rhythm falters, their voice strains to sound normal. You might not catch it the first time, but once you learn to listen, it becomes clear. The truth isn't in the words, it's in how they say them. Stoic insight. The body can't lie for long, and the voice is its first traitor when the soul is in conflict. When someone lies, they experience inner tension. Their mind is crafting a story, but their body is rejecting it. And that battle leaks into their voice. Even when they try to stay composed, something shifts. Maybe it's the cheerful voice that suddenly goes flat, or the confident speaker who begins to stutter, or the excited friend whose tone dulls when you suggest something they secretly hate. This doesn't just reveal deception, it uncovers discomfort. It shows where someone is out of alignment, not just with you, but with themselves. And here's where Stoicism steps in. Don't react with judgment. Observe with awareness. Their tone isn't just exposing their secrets, it's exposing their struggle. Use this not to manipulate, but to understand. To hear what's unsaid, to see what's hidden, and perhaps to hold space for honesty when they're finally ready to speak it. Because when the voice trembles, the soul is whispering. I'm not okay, but I don't know how to tell you. 5. Who you are when no one's watching, the mirror of true character. Anyone can be kind when there's an audience. Anyone can smile when it's expected. Anyone can be generous when the camera's rolling. But who are you when the room is empty? Who are you when no one is there to clap, to praise, to post about it online? That the Stoics remind us is your true character. We live in a world obsessed with appearances. Image over integrity, optics over essence. But the Stoic lives differently. He doesn't perform, he embodies. And to see others clearly, you must watch them, not when they're on stage, but when they believe no one's watching. Stoic insight. Virtue isn't proven in public, it's revealed in private. The way someone treats the janitor when there's no supervisor nearby. The way they speak to their partner when no friends are around. The way they act when there's no benefit in being nice. Those hidden moments, quiet, often overlooked, are where masks fall and the soul is seen. I once worked with a man who praised everyone during meetings. He was charming, articulate, admired by many. But behind closed doors, when he thought no one would hear, he belittled others, dismissed their work, laughed at their struggles. It was in the silence, not the spotlight, that I saw who he really was. This is not a call to cynicism, but to awareness. Because when you watch without illusion, you protect your energy, You choose your circle wisely. And it's not just about observing others, it's about asking yourself, who am I when no one sees? The Stoic strives for one thing above all: inner harmony. A life where his public face and private heart are one. Because he doesn't act to impress. He acts to align with virtue, with truth, with the self that endures beyond applause. 6. Emotional reactions reveal what truly matters, the hidden compass of the soul. You want to know what someone really values? Don't ask them. Watch what makes them angry. Watch what makes them light up. Watch what makes them feel threatened or deeply moved. Because while people may lie with words, their emotions are always honest. Someone may say they don't care, but if their tone sharpens when criticized, they care. Someone may act indifferent, but if their face brightens when praised, it means something to them. People don't always express what matters to them with clarity, but their emotional reactions, those are unfiltered truths. Stoic insight. Emotions are messengers. Behind every outburst lies a value. Behind every silence, a fear. Behind every spark of joy, a priority. A calm person who suddenly explodes when their idea is challenged reveals how much pride is tied to their work. A friend who's usually laid back but gets cold when you cancel plans shows you that quality time is how they feel loved. The leader who becomes defensive when their authority is questioned exposes how deeply they tie their worth to control. These reactions are not flaws. They're windows. Stoicism doesn't ask you to judge people for feeling it, invites you to understand why they feel. And with that understanding, you gain clarity. You see what matters to them. You learn how to speak with care. And you begin to navigate relationships with more wisdom and fewer assumptions. But here's the deeper Stoic challenge. What triggers you? Where do your emotions flare? Because those moments aren't weakness, they're signposts. They show you where your ego still lives, where your values lie, where your peace is most vulnerable. And when you recognize that, you don't just read people better, you begin to master yourself. Conclusion: read others to understand yourself. Stoicism doesn't teach you to be a mind reader, it teaches you to be a truth seeker. Not to expose others, but to see through appearances and through your own illusions. Because the more clearly you read others, the more deeply you begin to understand yourself, your triggers, your masks, your motivations. And that's the real victory, not spotting who's lying, but no longer lying to yourself. If this resonated with you, reflect on it. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Like, share, and subscribe for more clarity within and without. And remember, life is a stage. Which role are you playing?